I'm Dr. Kemi for Kemi Talks Media. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of June, 2025. Let's talk about Pastor Ibiyeomie. Many of you knew Pastor Ibiyeomie as the pastor that arrested me in 2017 three times and I spent 6 months detained in Port Harcourt prison. I was not the first journalist Ibiyeomie arrested. He arrested a female journalist before me, but Nigerians don't know that. I was the second journalist. The third journalist was arrested alongside me. He was a magazine editor. Many things you guys don't know. This story coming out now is saying that Ibiyeomie doesn't want anybody writing about him. A lot of times you guys are hypocrites. You like what you hear. And if you don't like it, if you don't hear what you like, then you dismiss that whole thing. When I was arrested, Ibiyeomie's lawyers contacted me. In fact, Ibiyeomie himself contacted me. They wanted me to take a story down, a story of an allegation of a car given to Iyabo Ojo, and Iyabo Ojo was also taking a lot of the church money. The thing with me is that I wasn't blogging, I was actually investigating. As an investigative journalist, I launched an investigation to find out if these things are true, because somebody messaged me about these allegations, and my job as a journalist is to prove whether it is right or wrong. And when you're a journalist, you can actually put a story out there or part of it using non-affirmative words, allegedly, allegations. I created awareness in Nigeria for those words, and this is what I did. An 8-page letter sent to me. I posted page 1, and I said there are allegations that Pastor Ibiyeomie gave Iyabo Ojo a vehicle meant to be transporting people to the church. Allegedly, allegations, I use those words. However, part of the reason why my case was dismissed by the federal judge was because I used this non-affirmative words and the Nigerian police was not aware of what those mean. So pretty much the Nigerian police caused my triple arrest and staying in prison. And of course, the police are corrupt. Kennedy Okoko, Ibiyeomie's spiritual son that died, prosecuted the case. A lawyer called me and told me to take the story down. I don't take stories down. Linda Ikeji is the one that takes stories down, and she gets 750,000 naira to take those stories down. And that's what they call blackmail. So I said, let me investigate the story. The next day, a person called me in Ibiyeomie's voice saying, I will sue you if you don't take those stories down. And I said, go ahead. Unfortunately, at that very time, I did not know that if you sue somebody in Nigeria, it's not civil. It could be criminal. That's when I learned about the criminal defamation case. Now, some people are saying, if I knew that defamation was criminal in Nigeria, would I have still kept the story there? No, I would have fought it. But I didn't even know that there was such a law. And that law was passed in 2013. We're now in 2017. And now he arrested me. You know the story, the rest is history. Now comes 2025, where Pastor Ibiyeomie is telling a blogger not to carry his news. Ibiyeomie cannot tell anybody what to carry. News is news. Just make sure the news is correct or you know what you're doing. What Ibiyeomie is saying now is that there's a young blogger who is carrying his sermons and that those sermons have been distorted. This is the age of social media. Are you guys ready? Because you're hypocrites. When all this was happening to me, you said nothing. Now you're all running after this blogger, supporting this blogger. There is a thing called suppressed, underreported, fake, and distorted news. I've explained that many times. Distorted news is when somebody says A, but you put B and C in there. Did they really say B and C? Apparently, whatever Ibiyeomie is saying, he claims that this young man is distorting the news. So don't carry my stuff. Ibiyeomie has no control over what anybody carries about him or his sermons. Because technically, if it's a sermon being distorted, there is no defamation here. The Bible actually has the sermons. So now the blogger should be suing Ibiyeomie and Jesus. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? You can't technically tell somebody to stop carrying information about you. But we have seen it many times. When Linda Ikeji defamed me and she laughed over it in 2013, he, and I started to like you, I warned her not to carry anything about me anymore. Linda Ikeji has not carried any news about me for the last 12 years. The only thing she carried was the death of my father. And that's because everybody else carried that. And that's also because Linda is not the one blogging her page anymore. She has admins doing that. And whoever wrote that about my father's death, okay, just like everybody else, that person was an admin. It couldn't have been Linda. And they didn't know. Because if you notice, she doesn't carry anything I say. Now, David Ibiyeomie weighs in. David Ibiyeomie is this human rights lawyer. And he was one of the people that fought for me during the Ibiyeomie case. And I remember Deji very well, going out to protest, and the police watered him with water cannons. It was a crazy case. So Deji said he is quite upset that Ibiyeomie is threatening Nigerians not to talk or criticize him or his church, or else he'll lock them up. Okay? Who are you, sir, that people can't talk about your church or criticize Jesus? And he did not or criticize you. Jesus did not lock these people up. So boasting about police is going to lock people up, pastor, The Ibiyeomie probably waded in because of my case. Now, I'm not online right now. In fact, I'm not online anymore. I'm only on YouTube and X. I don't use the other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and all that anymore. So Ibiyeomie now says, what does he mean by this? Now, VDM got into it, and VDM fires back and saying, you are not God. Okay? What happened to the rest of Nigerians? Why are you not firing back at Ibiyeomie, telling him that he's not God? But when he arrested me, you were all happy. This is the hypocrisy in Nigeria. But I wanted to let you guys know, I'm not asleep. I may not be on social media anymore. But I'm reading the news first thing in the morning, and I'll still give my opinions on YouTube at Dr. Kemi Olunlaya.